Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Royalty Cut here, and in today's tutorial we'll be learning how to cut and sew a wrap palazzo jumpsuit. Now if this is a video you're interested in, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. So basically for this tutorial, I'll be making use of this flowered crepe you see over here, and I have about 3 yards of it. Now you can also choose to substitute any material of your choice, be it Ankara or any kind of material. So the first thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is to fold my fabric into two, and we'll be cutting the front piece first, the pant front piece first. So I'm going to go ahead and fold my fabric into two. Now this material is 16 inches by length, so I'll be folding from the width area. So I'll just go ahead and fold the fabric into two. Now the folding that I'm going to be folding with, I'm going to go ahead and measure my tie measurement. I'll go ahead and measure my tie measurement, and I'll divide the tie measurement into two. So, but the tie measurement I'm working with is tie 28 inches. So I'll go ahead and divide it into two. 28 inches divided by two is 14 inches. So I'll be folding my fabric by 14 inches. So basically, I'm actually done cutting out the fabric just like I told you before. And remember that I folded into two with my round tie divided by 2 inches, which is 14. And that is exactly what we have here. Now, that will be serving as our trouser block. So any measurement we are going to be taking will be in this 14 inches. So the first thing I'm just going to go ahead and do right now is to go ahead and mark our waistline. I'll go ahead and mark our waistline. I don't know if you can see. So this will be serving as our waistline. Now for a jumpsuit, you will have to, there's a formula for a jumpsuit. Now the formula is your round hip minus 2 inches divided by 4 plus 2 inches. So for instance, my round hip is 42 inches. So the 42 inches minus 2 inches is 40 inches. Then I'll add the 40 inches, I'll divide the 40 inches into 4, which is 10 inches, and I'll be adding extra 2 inches, which will be giving me 12 inches in total. I don't know if you understand. So for me, after that, I'll be getting 12 inches. Now, the 12 inches I got from that formula will be serving as my crotch depth line. So from this waistline that I marked out earlier, I'm just going to go ahead and come down by 12 inches. Now, after marking in the 12 inches, from the waistline that I have here to our crotch depth, I'm just going to go ahead and measure 1 inch inward and stop at this crotch depth line that we have here. Basically, after I went ahead to mark 1 inch all the way down to the crotch depth, I'm just going to go ahead in a slanted way. I'm going to connect the 1 inch line all the way down to the crotch depth line. Now you can actually choose to use your free hand to do this, or you can use your curve ruler. But for me, I'm actually going to use my curve ruler. Just watch the way I placed it from the tip of the 1 inch line to inside the 1 inch line that we marked earlier, just like you see me doing over here. So after that, this 1 inch that we actually marked and the slanting is for our waist shaping. Now the next thing I'm actually going to do now is to go ahead and divide my round waist into four, and the round waist I'm working with is 32 inches. So 32 inches divided by 4 will give me 8 inches. Now, after getting my round waist measurement divided by 4, I'm going to go ahead and add extra 2 inches to it. That is to say, if your round waist is 20 inches and you divide it by 4, whatever you get, just add 2 inches to it. So since my own is 8 inches, I'm just going to go ahead and mark 10 inches instead because I added extra 2. Now after that, I'm just going to go ahead and extend the 10 inches from the waistline all the way down to the crotch depth line. So after that, the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is from the waist measurement that we marked on our crotch depth, I'm going to go ahead and measure the remaining inches we have, starting from the waistline that we have there. So I have about 3 inches there. So I'm going to go ahead and divide 3 inches into two. Now yours might be different because your round thigh measurement might not be the same thing for me. But for me, I have 3 inches from that point all the way down to our trouser block. So dividing it by 2, I have 1.5. So from the center of the crotch depth line, I went up by the 1.5 inches that I have. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect the 1.5 inches into our waistline measurement and also into the trouser block that we have, just like you see me doing here. Now after that, the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is, if actually you want a full palazzo, you're free to go. You can actually cut your piece this way, but for me, I don't want a very full palazzo, in the sense that I don't want the leg to be too flowy. So before we shaping that, I'm just going to go ahead and input my full length measurement. Now remember that you take your full length measurement from your flap area and not from your waist area. So I'll go ahead and impute my full length measurements from the crotch depth line that I have, because I took my measurement from the flap area. Now for the shaping of the flowy part, because I told you earlier that I don't want mine to be a full palazzo, what I'm just going to go ahead and do is to move my fabric upwards, and I'll be subtracting 2 inches or 1.5 inches depending on what you want. But for me, I'll be subtracting 1.5 inches from the full length of our trouser. So just like you see me do here, from the right and the left side, I subtracted 1.5 inches from the full length of the trouser. Now you can also choose to do 2 inches, just like I said earlier. Guys, at this point, I did not actually notice that the camera was not capturing what I was doing. So I'll just go ahead to explain what I did. Now, the only thing I did here was to go ahead and connect from the crotch depth line to the 1.5 inch that I marked down here at the full length of this trouser. And I also, from this crotch depth curvy part, I also connected it back to the 1.5 inch I have here. So at this point, I just curved it a little bit to actually match into the line, and I just went ahead to cut it out. And that was technically what I did for this part before cutting it out. So after that, the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is to fold my fabric again into two with the trouser block that we have. But this time around, I'll be adding extra inches to it because we'll be adding some measurements to the back side of our trouser. After folding the fabric into two for our back piece, I'm just going to go ahead and place these front pieces that we had earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and place it this way. Now remember that I told you that we'll be adding extra inches to the back piece of our pants. So I'm just going to bring this down a little bit, and that is it. So after that, the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do right now is to add extra inches to our pants. Now at the waist area, I'm just going to go ahead and go up at this point by 1 inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 1 inch from this waist area and mark it down. Now from the waist to the crotch depth, I'm just going to be adding extra 1 inches to it. Then at the crotch depth line, I will extend this. At this point, I'll be adding 2 inches. So I'll just go ahead and mark 2 inches here. That's from this point of the front place that stopped from our front piece. I'll mark 2 inches extra at the point here. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and mark 1 inch from this point all the way down to our crotch depth. I'll just go ahead and connect the lines together. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead. Remember that we went up from here by 1 inch. I'm just going to join this 1 inch that I have at the waist area in a slanted way all the way down to the tip of this waist area. Just watch the way I'm doing. I'm just going to connect it in a slanted way for it to meet the tip of our waistline. So after that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to, from this crotch depth down, I'm just going to be adding extra 1.5 inches to the back piece. So I'll go ahead and measure it all the way down. After adding extra 1.5 inch all the way to the full length of this pant, I'm just going to go ahead and connect it. Now from this crotch depth area, remember that we marked extra 2 inches from the front piece. Now I'm just going to go ahead and curve it into the 1.5 inch that we have earlier, just like you see me do here. And I'll go ahead and connect the lines all the way back to the full length of our trouser. After doing that, the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do right now is to cut this pant out. So for the back piece, I'll just be cutting exactly on the new lines that I made, and the sides are just going to be equal. So basically, after cutting out the back piece, this is what it is looking like. As you can see, the extra extensions we have for the back and the sides are equal. Now we are done with the cutting of this palazzo. So we are just going to fold this and keep aside. Now we are going to go ahead and cut the upper body of this jumpsuit. Now remember that the upper body is a wrap top. So definitely we'll be cutting our back piece first before cutting the front piece for the wrap top. Now for the back piece, we are going to go ahead and cut our normal basic body pattern. So for the upper body of our top, I went ahead to cut out this fabric I have over here. It will be serving as our back piece. So we'll cut our back piece before cutting the front piece. Remember that the front piece is a wrap top. So the first thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is to input 1 inch measurement all the way down. Now this 1 inch is for our zipper allowance. Now, after marking in the 1 inch, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to input our half length. Now, the half length I'm working with is 16 inches, but I'll be adding extra half of an inch for stitching it down to the pant. So I'll be doing 16.5 inches instead. So I'll go ahead and mark this, and I'll be cutting off the remaining part. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and input our shoulder measurement. The shoulder measurement I'm working with is 16 inches. 16 inches divided by 2 is 8. Now the measurement I'll be taking from will be from this 1 inch line and not from inside the 1 inch. So I'll go ahead and mark the 8 inches. The round armhole measurement I'm working with is also 16 inches. I'll go ahead and divide it by 2, which is 8 inches, and I'll also mark that down and connect the lines. So after that, I'm going to mark in our neck depth. Now the neck depth I'm working with for the back piece will be 2 inches. Now for the width, I'll be working with 3 inches width. So I'll connect the neck areas together. Now after that, I'm just going to go ahead and come down by 1 inch at our shoulder line for the shoulder slope. Connect the 1 inch all the way to the neck area. Divide the remaining armhole measurement that we have, which is 7 inches and it's 3.5. Come in at the point of the 3.5 by half of an inch. Connect the half of an inch to the tip of this 1 inch that we did for our shoulder slope. Then go ahead and input our round bust measurement, which is 36. 36 divided by 4 inches will actually be giving us 9 inches. So I'll go in and measure in 9 inches and add extra 2-inch sewing allowance to it. So at this point that I got new, I'll be connecting it to this half of an inch that we have for our shoulder slope. Now after that, I'll go in at the waist area and divide my waist, which is 32 inches divided by 4 is 8 inches. So at the waist area, I'll be marking 8 inches plus 2-inch stitching allowance. That will be 10 inches in total. I'll go ahead and mark it. Then from this armhole area, I'm just going to go ahead and connect it to the waist area measurement that I got. And this is what our back piece will be looking like. So I'll just go ahead and cut this open. Now after that, I'm going to slit this open because our back piece are going to be in two separate ways. So I'll open this, and also don't forget to notch your zipper line to be able to identify it. Now after that, I'm just going to go ahead and place this aside and bring out a new fabric. Fold it into two so that we can go ahead and cut our front piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and place this back piece that I had earlier on it, just like you see me do here. Now the sides of this up is going to be equal. Now from this point that I have, remember we already have 1 inch in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and fold in the 1 inch that we have and pin it down so that it wouldn't add to the inches that we'll be adding to our dress. Just go in and fold in the 1 inch of our zipper allowance. So after doing that, I'm just going to go ahead from this point that I've already folded in our 1 inch zipper allowance. I'm going to go ahead and divide my round waist measurement again into 4, and remember it is 4 inches. So I'm just going to measure in 8 inches, measure 8 inches from this 1 inch that I have earlier. So I'm going to place my tape over here and measure the 8 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark these 8 inches all the way upward. After I went ahead to mark the 8 inches, I'll go ahead and this neck area place that I have here, I'm just going to go ahead and mark it down. Use my chalk to make a mark for it to be visible over here. I don't know if you can see. Now I'm just going to go ahead from this neck area of our back. I'm just going to go ahead and fold it in this way. Use my pin to secure it down to the fabric. Now after that, I'm going to determine how deep I want my front neck area to be. So for me, I'll be doing 7 inches. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and mark 7 inches, just like you see me do here. From the tip of the neck width that we got earlier, I measured in 8 inches. Now from this 7 inches that I marked here as our front neck depth, I'm just going to connect from that point with a straight line all the way down to the 7 inches I marked. Then from the 7 inches, I'm just going to go ahead and connect it to the tip of this round waist measurement that we have. Just watch what I'm doing. I don't know if you can see. So after connecting it down, I'm just going to go ahead and trace the sides of this top to be equal. Then we will cut it out. Now, after tracing it, I'm just going to go ahead and cut out this fabric. Now, from this measurement we have, I'm just going to go ahead and slant it open. So basically, after cutting the front area, I'm just going to go ahead and unpin everything. Now, I'm going to place our back piece aside, opening up the front piece. As you can see, this is what it is looking like. So this is what our front piece is looking like. Now, after that, the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do right now is to cut out a facing for the front neck area and cut out a facing for the back neck area. And after that, I'll be turning it over. You can also use a bias if you have a bias to smoothen the edges. Now, after that, over to our pants, I'll just go ahead and join our pants. Now, the first joining we will be doing will just be from the waist area to the crotch depth. Now, this is the front piece of our pants. So the joining I'm just going to be doing now is to use about half of an inch from this waist area to this crotch depth. So basically, after I went ahead to face the front piece that we had earlier, just like I showed you, I also joined the pants from the waist to the crotch depth for the front, but I didn't do the same thing for the back because we'll be attaching the upper body to the back piece first. So for the front piece, this is what it's looking like. So as you can see, I've already faced it, and I'll go ahead to iron it and use an stay to use a warding to hold it down. So placing it up, this is what it's going to be looking like. Now, if you want yours to be more open, you can choose to lessen the way you attach it to each other to make it look a little bit wider. So for the front piece, I'm just going to go ahead placing it the way I want the neck area to be. Remember, I'm working with neck width 7 inches, so I have about 9 inches here. Now you can also choose to know which side you want to lap over, whether the right side or the left side. So for me, I'll be lapping over with the right side. So I should measure it. Here is about 8 inches, and I think the neck depth is okay for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and use about half of an inch to join the two pieces together at the waist area. I'll join it with about half of an inch, and I'll go ahead to attach it to the front pant that we have. This is the front pant, and remember I told you to join it with about half of an inch from the waist to the crotch depth, and this is what it's looking like. So opening it up, I have something like this. So after joining the two pieces of the front with about half of an inch, I'll go ahead and place it right side facing each other this way together with the pant, and I'll also join it with half of an inch, and our front piece will be ready. After joining the front piece, just like I told you earlier, this is what it is looking like. I've already gone ahead to join it to the pant with about half of an inch. So we'll go ahead and place this aside. Now for the back piece, remember I told you I did not join the pant area because we need to attach the upper body first before joining from the waist to the crotch. So I'm just going to bring each side of our pants and each side of the upper body piece to actually place it right side facing each other with about half of an inch. Now, while placing this, make sure that your neck area, the zipper area of your upper body is facing the crotch depth side, not the shaping allowance. Just like you see me doing here, I'll just make sure that the zipper allowance is facing in this way. Now you place it right side facing each other, just like you see me do here. So I'm just going to go ahead and use half of an inch to join this upper body to the main pant at the waist area here. Opening it up, this is what it should be looking like. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing for this piece and the other piece. So after I was done attaching the upper body of the back piece to the pants, this is what it's looking like. As you can see, the zipper area is facing the crotch depth line. Now I'm just going to go ahead and bring my zipper, and I'll be attaching the zipper to both the front and the back piece. Now for where the zip will be stopping, I'll go ahead and measure from the waist area. I'll go ahead and measure 10 inches, and I'll mark that down. I'll mark the 10 inches. So this is where our zipper will be stopping, so that it will be able to pass through our hip while wearing it. So I'll go ahead and place the zipper to both the front piece, to both the two sides, sorry. So placing the zipper, it should be looking this way. As you can see, making sure that it's facing right side each other, and our zipper will be stopping at the point that I told you earlier. So after putting the zipper from this point to here, I will then go ahead and use the same half of an inch to actually join it all the way down to the crotch depth. I don't know if you understand. Now for the zipper allowance, I'll be making use of 1 inch all the way here. Now when getting to the waist area, I'll take about half of an inch to sew in the zipper to where it will stop. Then use about the half of an inch to join the crotch depth down. After that, we'll be joining the front and the back piece together. So after attaching the zipper to the back piece, this is what it's looking like, and this is what the flap area is looking like. Now I'm just going to go ahead and bring the front piece that we had earlier and place it right side facing each other, just like you see me do here. This is the front piece. So I'm just going to place it right side facing each other this way. So technically, so after placing it right side facing each other, this is the front piece and the back piece. Now the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do right now is to use about half of an inch to join the shoulder area to the back. Then after which, before shaping the dress, I'll come over to this flap area, just like you see over here. I'll come over to this place and I'll use about 1 inch or half of an inch, depending on what you want, to sew from this flap area down to the end of the full dress, full length of this pant, just like you see here. I'm going to sew it after the shoulder. You sew the flap, then after the flap, I'll go ahead and input my body measurement on the palazzo, and that will be that for our pants. So basically for the sleeve of this palazzo, I went ahead to fold my fabric into four, that I'll be using one piece for the right hand and one piece for the left hand. So I have about 4 folded pieces here, and I'll be starting my measurement from this folded edge so that it wouldn't split at the center. Now remember that my armhole measurement is 8 inches. Now, looking at the sleeve we have at our thumbnail, it's kind of pleated. So we won't be actually doing our normal round armhole measurement. Since my round armhole measurement is 8 inches, 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches. I'll just go ahead and add extra 5 inch to the 8 inches after dividing the normal armhole by two. So I'll add 5 inches. Now this 5 inches is for the pleating. You can choose to add more if you want your pleating to be fuller. You can choose to add less if you want your pleating to be less. But for me, I'll be adding 5 inches to it. So 5 inches plus 8 inches will give us 13 inches in total. So I'll just go ahead and mark 13 inches here. Now we are going to go ahead and divide 13 inches into two. 13 inches divided by 2 will give us 6.5 inches. So from the shoulder line, I'll go ahead and mark 6.5 inches and extend it all the way to the 13 inches that we had. Now after that, I'm going to go ahead and divide 6.5 inches into two, which will give us 3.25. So from the tip here, I'm going to go ahead and mark 3.25 and extend it all the way to the full length that we have here. So after that, we have three lines, two lines here already. So after that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to divide these 13 inches that we have into two. Now 13 inches divided by 2 is 6.5. So vertically, I'm just going to go ahead and mark 6.5. Now after that, this is what it's looking like. Now I'm just going to go ahead and create my armhole curve. Now from this tip that I have here, I'm going to connect this line to this center point. Now you can choose to use your curve ruler to do this, or you can use a free hand instead. So I'm just going to connect from this tip to the center of this point. Just make sure it blends very well. Now after connecting this tip to the center of this place, I'm going to connect this center down to the end of this place in a curvy way. Now after that, this is what it's going to look like. So I'm just going to go ahead and determine where I want my sleeve to be. Now for the sleeve length, I'll be working with, for the sleeve length, I'll be working with 16 inches in total. 16 inches in total. So from the tip here, I'm just going to go ahead and mark 16 inches. Now looking at the sleeve too, it has a little bit band at the end tip of the sleeve. So instead of doing 16 inches, I'll be doing 14 inches instead, so that at the end of the day, I'll be using the 2 inch that is remaining to add the band that was on it. So this is what it is looking like. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and connect this straight. Now, why I connected it straight that I did not impute my round armhole measurement is because after pleating the upper area, I'm also going to run a gathers down here to give it a kind of that puffy look you saw on the thumbnail. So there's no need of imputing your round arm measurement. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. Technically, this is what the sleeve is looking like, and I have two pieces here in total. So I'm just going to go ahead and notch the center part. Now after notching it, I'm going to place this aside. So for the band, I'm just going to go ahead and fold this fabric. Now remember, we are working with 2 inch band, but instead of measuring 2 inch, we'll be working with 2.5 inches for joining it over to the main sleeve. So I'll go ahead and measure 2.5. Now your fabric should be on fold so that you know the measurement you're really working with. So I have 3 inches here. So I'll go ahead and trim it off. Now for the length of your band, you go ahead and measure the point at where your sleeve is going to stop. You go ahead and measure your round arm measurement. Now I have 11 inches here. So I'll go ahead and input 11 inches on the fabric and add extra 1 inch or 2 inch for shaping it over. Now I'll go ahead and cut it out. Now this should be in two pieces. Shh. Now this is the band for the two piece. Now for this sleeve, I'm just going to go ahead and attach it to our shaped palazzo already. And remember, I will be running a pleat on this top area. Now the pleat should be able to stop at the total 8 inches you have for your round armhole. And I'll run a gathers at the end of this pleat. Now the gather should be exactly the number of length that you have here for your shaping. It should be up to 11 inches in total. So that is that, and I'll go ahead and attach it to our palazzo. So basically, after attaching the sleeve, this is what it is looking like, and our palazzo jumpsuit is ready. Now this is what the sleeve looked like. This was the pleating at the top, and at the down I had to gather it and attach the band. So our palazzo is ready, and that will be the end of this tutorial. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. See you in our next video. Bye.